Hey everyone, and welcome to Elspec February webinar. For those of you I haven't met yet, I'm Elspec Markom, Meital, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know that registration is now open for our 2025 user group meeting in Amsterdam this September. It's going to be a fantastic event, and we would love for you to join us. You can find more details on our website. Our PQSCADA software is at the heart of Elspec's commitment to providing advanced power quality monitoring, analysis, and control. With its unique capabilities, PQSCADA has become an essential tool for industries around the world, helping them ensure reliable and efficient energy systems. In this session, Asaf Leifer, our Metering and Protection Division Manager, will guide you through the new features we have added. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will address them after each part. Thank you all for joining. And Asaf, you can take it from here.
Okay, so hi everyone. Just trying to share my screen, 1 second. Okay. So hello everyone, it's fantastic to see so many audience in the crowd. It's really, I didn't expect it, but I will try to meet the expectation, but I'm not promised. So anyone who feels boring, this is the time to leave. Don't do it during, because I will take it personally. Okay, so no, I'm joking. So in this coming 15 hours, I made a short presentation about the new feature of PQSCADA Sapphire. Some of them, I choose only 3 of them, and I hope you will find it interesting. Of course, you are welcome to ask any questions, but in order to manage everything in an order way, please either raise your hands or write the question on the chat. Between every chapter of the presentation, we will have a question part in which I will try to answer to your question. So, okay, what are we going to cover today? So first, it's the custom Modbus mapping. This is something, Elspec start to invest a lot on the option to integrate PQSCADA Sapphire together with the other sensors that you might have in substation, facility, industry, whatever. And we have this integration capability through various protocols for a long time already, including Modbus. But the integration required some knowledge in XML scripting, and many people find it a bit hard to do it. So it didn't spread as we expected. What we did in the last version is that we add the option to map a Modbus parameter with a user interface, to make it much easier and give you and every client or agent the capability to do it by himself relatively easy. We're going to invest more in these scenarios. In the next PQSCADA version, we're going to have also user interface to integrate with the Ethernet IP protocol. And we're going to add also the option to integrate with OPC UA protocol, also together with UI. And we're going to do more and more other protocols within the future. The second part of this presentation will talk about our new component that we add to PQSCADA Sapphire, which is basically, it's a G4K, but it's a G4K that acts as a gateway to the controller of the equalizer. And I will show you what it can do and how you should apply it. And the last session will be about Windows Active Directory SSO, single sign-on. So let's start. So when you want to perform activation of PQSCADA Sapphire into a sensor that have Modbus communication, you need to follow three basic steps. The first step, this is what we call the data mapping and the parameter assignment. Modbus, it's a protocol that each parameter is stored in a register, okay? And each register have a specific number or specific ID. Now, different vendors have different registers or different mapping to their parameters. So in one equipment, register number 200 can be the voltage of phase 1, and in another equipment, register number 200 can be the current of I1 or frequency or any other parameter. Or maybe they don't use register 200. So first we need to take the mapping of the equipment to see what the equipment have in each and every register, and then tell to PQSCADA that in register number 200, we have V1 RMS. And register number 202, we have V2 RMS, and so forth. So this is the mapping. This is the first step of each and every integration. The second step is the component creation. Once we have a mapping, okay, we want to have only one map, okay, but many or multiple components within PQSCADA Sapphire that use this map. So we gave you the option to create a new component type based on this map that communicate through Modbus. So today, you know, when you're adding a new component to PQSCADA Sapphire, you click Add New Component, and the first thing that you need to select is the component type, right? So we have the G4K, we have the G5, you have Pure, you have G4500, and you see we have a list of different component type that we have. And now you can add more, okay, according to the mapping of the Modbus, and this is part of the process. And the last step is actually add this component into PQSCADA Sapphire. There are some challenges within this integration, which I want to highlight. There are many challenges, but there are 2 or 3 things that I want to highlight and pay your attention to it. So one thing is the sampling ratio versus the storing resolution. Okay, so most of the Modbus sensors are simple sensors. Okay, so it can be a simple revenue meter, it can be maybe a power meter, but very limited one. And they don't have too many parameters that they are measuring. And also the resolution of the parameters is fixed. Okay, so for example, you have a sensor, you have a revenue meter, which measure the voltage. Okay, and he measured voltage at 1 second resolution. So if you don't want to miss any data, you need that PQSCADA will send a query to the meter once every second. So every second, the PQSCADA will get a new value. But if now I'm going to store this 1 second resolution, the database will be huge, especially if you're going to measure many instruments like this. Now, most of this instrument doesn't have the option to fetch a 10-minute average interval from Modbus. They will have the 1 second, maybe they will have even faster resolution, but it's not an advantage, it's actually a disadvantage. So you have two options to overcome it. One is to ask PQSCADA to fetch data not every second, but to fetch data every minute. But then you're missing all the data in between, right? You don't know what happened between each and every minute, okay? Because it's sampling once every minute, and between 2 minutes, you lost 60 samples. What we doing in order to overcome it, we configure PQSCADA to fetch data every second or any other resolution you like, and PQSCADA buffers all of these samples and store in the database only summary data, like the minimum, maximum, and average value once every 1 minute. So the storage capacity is reasonable, okay? Point every minute, it's not a lot, okay? It's not a huge database. You do know what happened in between because you see the minimum and maximum values that happen within this minute and also the average value. And this is how we attack it. So you can see here in the right side in the chart, you have the light blue. This is the actual samples, okay, that PQSCADA fetch. But then after a minute, and this is, let's say that from here to here, you have 1 minute, okay? PQSCADA will calculate maximum, average, and minimum value. And the chart that you will see in PQSCADA will be the dark blue. So you will get maximum, minimum, and average value for the entire period. So you will always see what were the limits and also what is the average. So you will have a clue what happened between two values. Another challenge that you have is about scaling data, okay? Usually energy data is scaled on the units. So for example, when you read through Modbus 10, it's not 10 watt, it's 10 kilowatt. Some others, if it's a revenue meter for other application, it can be even megawatt, okay? So since PQSCADA store the data in as a row, okay, in the row unit in watt hours, you need to configure in PQSCADA Sapphire the scaling factor. So if I'm reading 1 PQSCADA Sapphire, I need to know that it's actually 1 kilowatt hour. Another application is power factor. Some meters record power factor in percentage, so you will see 95 when you will read it, and some write it as a number, so it's 0.95, right? So again, PQSCADA store it as 0.95, so you need to scale it down from 95 to 0.95. So this is also very, very important when you configure it. And last thing is the energy counter. Most of the meter expose only energy counter to the Modbus, which means that it always go up, right? You don't have the bins of the energy. So if you read the energy now, it can show you 100 kilowatt hours. You come after 2 minutes, it's 102 kilowatt hours. And then it's go up to 107, 150, 200, and so forth. And this is what you get. Every time you go to the counter and read it, it's a higher number than before. When it was 0 when the unit just installed in the facility. So when you map energy counter, PQSCADA will automatically calculate you the bins of the energy. So from the counter, you will be able to see the consumption of daily consumption, hourly consumption, weekly, monthly, and so forth. It will be done automatically. And also we calculate the demand and the peak demand automatically from the energy counter and the dips. And this is how you can then use it on later stage on the energy module and generate your own billing structure and see and predict billing within PQSCADA Sapphire. So let's have a look how it's done. So
before you start
yeah.
into it, just a small comment that I see here. Miguel asks if we have a PQ zip file each minute.
In G5, yeah. In G5, you have PQ zip file every minute. In G4K, it's configurable, and in the pure BB, it's once every 1 hour. Okay. So let's have a look. In PQSCADA Sapphire, you go into the system module, you click on the server, and here you have protocol mapping tab. In the protocol mapping tab, you can see here a list of maps that you already have. And this is a pre-configured maps that we add, and you have it part of the PQSCADA package. So you can see that you cannot actually do anything with it. You cannot edit it. Okay, this is come with the software, and it's not editable. But you can click the plus button over here. You will get a pop-up where you can add the name. I want to add a new mapping, so let's call it Webinar. The protocol is at the moment only Modbus, but as I told you, we're going to have more. And now I have a new map file called Webinar. And here you can see you can add rows. So for example, I'm choosing register 200. I need to tell PQSCADA which type is it. It's 4-byte float. I'm going to read it through function code number 4. I click the plus button. I'm getting a new pop-up. And I'm telling PQSCADA Sapphire that this register number, it's RMS V1N. And I click apply. I don't need to add any units because it's a predefined parameter. If I want to scale it, and you remember about the storing, if this checkbox is checked, it means that I'm going to save only summary every minute. If I will uncheck it, it will store any sample that PQSCADA queries. And now I can add another row, and let's say that in register number 202, I still have 4-byte function code 4, but here I have air pressure. So PQSCADA doesn't know what is air pressure. We don't know this parameter. If you click the plus, you will not get this in the list. It's your own parameter. You can give it any name. You go in here, you select the units of this parameter. Sorry. Bar, if you want to scale it, again, what do you want to do with the storage? And so forth. You can add more and more rows or delete them. In addition to parameters that I'm adding here, you can go to the configuration tab. Here is the parameter tab, configuration tab. And you can also add configuration that you can ask PQSCADA. And let's say this register, I have a configuration, which is a string. This string is 6 registers. And this is the calibration configuration date. And I can add another row. This one will be also string. And it will be maybe 10 register. You know what? It's not a string. Let's say it's 4-byte floating point. And this one is the nominal. Sorry. Nominal voltage. Okay, and so forth. You can add as many configuration that you have on the device. The nice thing about configuration is it's not only reading configuration, it's also writable. Okay, so once I click save, I'm having a new map, and I have this button called create component type. So I will click on it, a new pop-up. Now I need to give a name to this component type. So let's call it evening webinar. I'm going to use TCP or RTU or ASCII. It will be TCP. Okay, you see now it's grayed out. Okay, because you cannot create more than one component for this mapping. And if I go to the action, add new component, evening webinar, I have a new one here. Okay, I select this one. I'm enter the IP address. What is the fetching frequency I want? I want to fetch data every 5 seconds. Modbus port slave ID, how many bits you have per register in function conf 4 and 3. Low Indian, high Indian, you can select this one. Click next. The database, like any other component, you can give it a name. Webinar. Next, if you want the compliance, finish, close. Now this one is not working because I didn't enter any IP, but if you go here to the device configuration, you see it's trying to communicate with the unit. It will not succeed, just give it a few seconds. And this is the two configurations that we ask PQSCADA to fetch, you see? And this is the names. If you go to this unit, you don't have it. Okay, so it's something that we create only for this specific unit, and we did it for the mapping. Second. And as I told you, it's readable. So if I would wrote here 20 February 2025, and I will click save, it doesn't let me to save because it doesn't have communication. But once I click save, it will write this value to this parameter. Okay. I want to show you another way to do it. 1 second. I need to open another file. This one.
I see a Rasaf question, or you want me to save it?
Save it, just 1 second. I want to open this file. So you see I have here this CSV file that I made before, where I have the address, the type, function code, and parameter. Okay, so now I will close it. And if I go here to the protocol mapping, heading, and you can do it like this. Okay, heading, a new webinar. Okay, now instead of adding row by row, I can import CSV file. What's the name? Modbus, yeah, Modbus CSV training. This one, open. You're going to have this tool. That what is the file encoding, the delimiter, the header row. You can reload. And now you need to tell PQSCADA Sapphire that this one is the register number, this is the type, this is the function code, and this is the parameter. So maybe in your file it will be on the other order, but it's okay. This is why it's configurable. If it's a configuration parameter, you need to select it here. And I click load, and that's it. I have the map. Okay, so, and now I can add even more manually, or just clicking save, save. And now you see I can create a new component over here, a new webinar. Okay, I go to action, add component. Is it new webinar? Next. Let's give it an IP every 5 seconds. Next, SQLite. Close. And now you see it's green. We'll start reading data. And if I will go to the investigation, I can go here. Next. I think it was this one. Let's see. Real-time data. Yes. And okay, it doesn't measure anything, but I'm connecting to a Modbus unit, and it's reading the data in real time, and you can see it in real time. Or I can add a new view, and RMS, and I can see historical data. You see, I have only this point of time because it's measure 1 point every minute. Remember? So now it's buffering the data, and we're going to have it after a minute. Now I have it. You see, I have here only 1 minute of data. I will move it to 35, and we need to wait 2 more minutes to get more data. But this unit doesn't measure anything, but this is how it works. Okay, questions?
Okay, we have a question from Esteban. Where do you define the polling rate? Is minimum 1 sample per second? What happens if sensor is 1 Modbus register with 10 Hz data rate?
Okay, so the sampling rate is done on the component itself. You see here? Either you have this option here when you add a new component, new webinar. You see here, fetch data every, but you can do it also 0.2, okay? Or 0.1, whatever. And if you made a mistake, you can go over here and change it. Now I can change it to 1. And now it will fetch data every 1 second. Okay, so it's fetching data every 1 second, but it's storing the data every 1 minute. Okay, so when I go to the local machine, protocol mapping, this is our mapping. You see everything is saved as summary. So you're going to get 1 minute value. If you go to the investigation, you will see here the value change once every minute. You can always change. If I'm changing the mapping here, okay, and I click Save, okay, the component is affected by these changes. Okay, so the component is basically attached to the map. Any more questions?
No.
Okay. Controller gateway. So what we have done is that in many cases, many customers ask to be able to see data from the controller on PQSCADA Sapphire, especially if you want a remote view of the data. And since the controller is only serial, support only serial communication, our suggestion is to install G4K within the cabinet. The G4K communicates through serial port to the controller, and then PQSCADA Sapphire communicate with the G4K through Modbus TCP, FTP, and HTTPS. The G4K convert the Modbus into Elcom. Elcom is the controller language, and from the client through HTTPS into PQSCADA Sapphire. Once you have done that, you're going to have on the PQSCADA Sapphire, we're going to have 3 dedicated views. One is the option to view or export system configuration. The second one is to see the system status. And the last one is to see system real-time measurement, okay, of the controller. Of course, once you have the G4K, you have a continuous recording of the voltage and current in the cabinet. And the G4K that we install in the equalizer or activar, it's a G4K with 5 current input. So basically, one G4K gave you the data from the main caps and induction. And this is how it looks like. So you can see here I have the component called, you know what, let me show you. Let's start from here. When you add a new component, you need to add this specific component, okay? It's not a standard G4K. You need to add G4K controller gateway. You click next, IP address, everything here is the same, but you also need to enter the Modbus of the G4K, okay, over here. Since I already done that, you see here, this is G4K controller, and you can see here 3 new screens. So you have the system configuration. System configuration is read-only. Okay, you cannot change the configuration remotely. You can only see what is the current configuration. Two seconds. So this is all the equalizer configuration that you can see, and you can, if you want to export it, you just click here, click open, and you will get it as a CSV file over here. You can see real-time measurement. The communication is a bit slow because the controller is a serial communication, so it can take a few seconds until you see the data over here. So you can see here reading of all the registers within the equalizer, and you will see it's changed every few seconds. You will see new numbers here, and also this you can export. Okay, so if you go on a commissioning, you can export it and say this is what I saw, and share it. And last is the system status. This is all the status of the unit. Okay. Now, since you have a G4K, then in addition to everything I show you, you actually have all the data from the G4K itself. So you click next. And you know what, let's see real-time data if you want, but you have also the historical data. You can see trend. And here you see you have 3 feeders. Main, caps, in, depends what you want to look at. And RMS, V1, in max. Once I click finish, it should, it's also 0. Yeah, so something is wrong with my Modbus. Okay, so, but you can see real-time data coming through here. And that's it. Questions?
Yes, we have here. And with old Power IQ, is it possible to download the event?
No. Let me guess. If someone asks about Power IQ, it can be either Jose Garcia or Jose Starosta. Which one of these Jose is
No,
asking?
it's Esteban Bilbao. But
we need to go to 32 bits.
Yeah, I was wondering who knows the Power IQ. But no, you cannot download the events. Any further questions?
no, I don't see anything else.
You can though change the status value, so you can change it from automatic mode to manual mode and change target power factor, correct?
Once again, so it's not this one. This one, you go to system configuration.
As well as perform a system test, I believe.
No, system test you cannot do remotely. But the mode, yeah, I think the mode you can change over here. Okay. But Meitai, I told you not to invite Eric, Mark. How come he got this email?
We also
But,
have Starosta asking he wants to ask something. Yes, Starosta.
Yes, Starosta.
Thank you. Considering the communication to be in Modbus, it's not possible to check the waveform, yeah?
Waveform through Modbus? No, it's not possible.
Okay.
It's not fast enough.
You pass quickly, but you mentioned main caps and end or load.
End.
What's in,
No, it's in the inductors.
No, that's actually the load. So
yes,
the main is the network main, the caps is the output of the capacitor bank system, and the IND is the load. It's the inductive load.
The load, okay, good, because it's necessary to put load.
Load. Okay, if you want load.
I no, I don't want nothing.
No, you will get it. You go to the unit configuration,
Okay.
control channel.
טוב,
Load.
טוב. Good,
טוב?
good. טוב מאוד.
Okay, now if you go here, add new chart, load. Okay?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So you have load. Any further questions? Good.
No.
SSO, single sign-on. So the principle is that, yeah.
Asaf, one question. What about running a task? I believe you can run a task to the controller gateway component, correct?
I don't think we implement it yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Basically, what Eric is saying is that we're thinking about adding a task that will check the status of the system. It will run automatically, so you can ask it to run on, let's say, a weekly basis. Once every week, it will send a query to the controller, ask the status. Based on the status in the events, it will give you a report. And based on that, you will be able to schedule a maintenance with the client. So it's either for the client, okay, if he wants to do it by himself. So he will get to his email once a week, a report with the status of the system and the condition and everything. Or as an agent and you want to provide this kind of services to your clients, so you will have one PQSCADA Sapphire communicate with many equalizers all around your territory. It will generate this report automatically for you once a week. You will take a look at it, and then you communicate to the client and tell him, listen, you need to schedule a maintenance to replace a capacitor or whatever. Okay, so this is something that we will have in the future. Or not. Okay. Okay, SSO. Single sign-on. Basically, it's a way to log into PQSCADA Sapphire using the Windows Active Directory and without the need to enter any username and password. So if you already logged into your computer, it will use the same credential to log into PQSCADA Sapphire. So on one hand, it's very it's make the life easier, right, for the user, but it's also kind of more secured because basically we do not transmit the username and password from the client to the server, and PQSCADA Sapphire is actually not even exposed to the username and password, right? Because when you log into PQSCADA Sapphire, you don't enter your username and password. Okay, PQSCADA only using the Active Directory to ask a permission. It's getting a token, send the token to the server. The server is also a member of the Active Directory. It check the validation of this token and give you an access. So you just need to log into Windows, Active Directory verifies the credential and then access granted to PQSCADA Sapphire. To integrate it, so PQSCADA supports the LDAP and Kerberos authentication, and it's give you a seamless access, enhanced security, and simplified user management. And the way it looks is like this. Let's take this one and log out. Yes, close. So if I want to log in, usually you do like this, right? You enter username, you enter a password, and you log in. Okay, so now I'm in. If I will go here to the user and group, and this is the server. Let me take this one. I will delete it. This is from the morning session. So this is the admin that I enter through. But now I can go here and say, I want to add a new user. It's an Active Directory authentication. I click next. I can choose if it be admin or non-admin. Let's make it admin. And now you see, since it's a member in the domain, you can select username from all the users that are available in your Active Directory domain. I will choose myself, A Lifer. Next, finish, close. So now you see I have A Lifer as a member of Office. It's another user in PQSCADA Sapphire. So now when I want to log in, let's first log out. When I log in, I don't need to enter username and password. I can go to Windows User. I want to log in as SSO. And I'm clicking login and I'm in. So you see, PQSCADA Sapphire is not exposed to your username and password at all. It's seamless. So it's more secured, but it's also easier. You don't need to remember another username and password. Your IT can determine the policy of password, like the complexity, how often you need to replace it, and so forth. Okay, so it gives a lot of flexibility to the IT, and it's more secured as well. Questions? So thank you.